To many Kenyans, this is waste, the real meaning of waste, things to be thrown away. But here, there is gold.
It all starts in the mind of government officials, in the mind of the person who is dumping there, in the mind of Kenyan citizens.
Welcome to the show. I'm your host, Alex Chamwada. We look at the opportunities that exist in garbage, the impact on the economy, job creation, the impact on the environment, the impact on your health as well.
By recycling, we are also saving on energy.
There's gold in waste. There's a lot of gold in waste. Other than plastic, there's also the biodegradable.
We will pay special attention to 3 R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. We'll look at the role of policymakers, the role of the county government, the role of implementers, and your role as well.
I think this is something that Kenyans need to start embracing so that we can manage our waste a bit better.
His background is public health and he has a PhD in project management. He quit his government job to begin something new. He saw gold in plastic waste, so he established this facility to turn that waste into something useful. Let's now hear the story of Dr. Oscar Agan. Dr. Agan is the Chief Executive Officer and among the founder members of a company known as Continental Renewable Energy, located in Kariobangi in Nairobi.
Basically, we recycle waste plastic into building hardware and sell to developers, both corporate and individual, those that have challenges with high prices. We've come in with a new building material which should be able to compete steel, timber, and clay.
Dr. Agan, who has no background in engineering, says the machines here are locally made, or call it Juakali type, but there are plans to improve on the technology by importing more efficient machines. The main product here are fencing posts.
This project has saved a lot of trees. We've done like about 26,000 posts since inception, and that has gone a long way in saving so many trees that would otherwise been used as fencing posts.
You would think this pole is steel. It is not. It is plastic, made out of recycled plastic material. Advantage: it cannot be easily vandalized. It cannot be eaten by termites, among other advantages. The poles are manufactured and supplied by Dr. Oscar Agan.
The fencing post that is fast replacing steel on the roads has saved the government a lot of what I call overhead in terms of expenditure because of vandalism. Vandalism is very common along the highways, and I'm glad that the Kenya Highway Authority has now shifted from steel to plastic posts. You need some skill to recycle it. It's not like metal that you'll come and sell in a scrapyard. This is a roofing tile out of waste plastic and sand, and we can make them in different colors.
The company has contributed a great deal to job creation.
I do supply to Continental Renewable Energy Company, which is owned by Daktari. Right now, we are crushing HDP material, which we have collected from the dumping site.
It is important that solid waste management as a concept should be embraced carefully, should be embraced articulately by the relevant authority. The county government is doing what they're supposed to work hard and collaborate with we consumers who use all that waste to turn into wealth, because it has a high, what you call, social impact in terms of employment. We've got about 200 people who scavenge the dump sites, the houses, and we've empowered them with the support from the World Vision. Initially, we started on our own, and then World Vision came in, and now there are other groups that have also come in, well-wishers like Safaricom Foundation, who have also come in to donate equipment in an effort to empower the youth at source, who ultimately supply us with the plastic.
To engage in such a recycling activity, one has to conform to the regulations of the National Environment Management Authority as well as the county government.
We license and advise on waste disposal, solid waste disposal. We advise and license on transportation of that solid waste. Even though it's done by counties, we license. We license the operation and we regularize sites where this waste is going. Then we also advise on recycling. We advise on what we call transfer sites, because a lot of the waste is not separated. So we license transfer sites where this separation can happen.
So should plastics be banned? That has been a critical question, but Dr. Agand's argument is that it is all about managing waste.
This is a product from waste. Other than it being a bother to them, they should manage it well. They should bring it to the relevant, or what you call SMEs, that use it to create employment for their children, for their youth, and also it's going to go a long way in reducing the cost of building, which is a nightmare in this country.
However, the National Environment Management Authority maintains that plastics should be banned.
The issue is not the plastic, it's the person who is handling the plastic.
Then that's the argument. So we shouldn't ban them, but deal with the attitude.
Attitude change takes a long time, Alex. Attitude change takes a long time. We have talked about plastics for the last 10 years. Nothing is changing. In fact, it's getting worse. Whereas we are changing attitudes, we need to have more initiatives, more programs, and more processes to try and phase out at least the thin and non-biodegradable plastics, which are actually produced in large volumes. And basically what we need is to do value addition on plastics. For example, we move to, you see, there are many forms of plastics, for example. I would like to be very specific on the flimsy bags, the ones that fly around, the ones that we are unable to control, the ones that when you go to the supermarket, you get them and in large numbers because they are free. What we like to go, if you would like to make an impact, the impact has to be felt in the pocket. If people pay for plastics, they are going to be able to control plastics better. They are going to be able to manage plastic. They are going to use less. They are going to recycle them, and they are going to find more value in plastics.
If we are able to reduce waste, reuse some of the waste, and recycle it at source, the promotion of 3 Rs, then we actually solve our problem 50%.
Private sector has a huge opportunity in terms of investment of garbage industry. And that's why I want to link the private sector and the banks, so that the banks can be able to facilitate the private sector to tap this opportunity, which is untapped for a very long time.
Elsewhere at the Chandaria Industries, there is a different type of recycling. There, they turn this into useful products. For example, the tissue papers you use at home. We visited the recycling plant, and this is what we found out. Chandaria Industries is billed as the largest paper recycler in East and Central Africa.
Our raw material is actually the paper. It is, the most important raw material for us. I mean, some people call it waste paper. We're trying not to call it waste paper. We're trying to call it paper now. Some people think, oh, I'll just burn this paper. I'm just going to dispose of it in the landfill sites, But for us, it's, a source of national wealth.
Tons and tons of that waste paper is turned into useful products, with the plant operating 24 hours.
We have some collectors, who collect from different parts, of the city, from different parts of the country, and they bring it here to us. We also have a direct collection system. We have a team that contacts companies, corporates, individuals, schools, etc., and we coordinate with them to pick up the waste and bring it back to our site also.
Paper recycling can be a sure way of destroying confidential information. For example, information generated in banks. You have banking slips and bank statements, for instance.
So, for example, where people have client records, they have sensitive information, which they do not want to be at risk for it being leaked to the public domain, or getting into anybody else's hands. They can come here and see it being destroyed in a matter of minutes.
The raw material is turned into pulp.
The paper, is brought. It is then taken into if you would like to call it, a big container mixed with water, crushed, goes through the process, and then finally ends, as the big rolls of tissue. Those big rolls of tissue are then taken to what we call the converting side, which is the finishing side. So those are then cut into toilet rolls. They are processed into serviettes, kitchen towels, boxed facial tissues. Many products. Newspapers we don't use that much, unfortunately. Newspapers, because the ink content is very high. So what it does is, it makes our water go black.
Through paper recycling, Chandaria Industries has created both direct and indirect employment.
Direct employment on this site here alone is 1,000 people. And if you look at the employment being provided to the waste paper collectors, across only Kenya is over 20,000 Kenyans.
Paper recycling is environment friendly as it reduces the cutting of trees, which ordinarily are the source of raw material for making paper.
Our business has helped save the deforestation of over 20 million trees, in the years that we've been in existence.
Ordinary people can make a contribution too, not to forget that waste paper can earn you some cash.
Even, for example, at your house you have paper that you dispose every day. If you're just able to collect that for a week or a month and come together and bring it to our site or to a designated collection point, we will take it away.
One of the habits that must change for recycling in Kenya to grow is mixing of waste. It is recommended that separation should be done at the source.
When it's white, for example, without much contamination, we can do a lot with it. But unfortunately, when you start adding food waste, when you start adding other contaminants, it becomes a bit of a challenge.
This is gold too. At the Kitengela glass, you will be amazed what this can be turned into. Let us have a look. So who are your clients?
Everybody. People who want bottles, vases, bowls, whatever beautiful blown glass can be, or indeed what I do. I do glass windows, glass blocks, recycled glass blocks. They are secure, they are beautiful, they're in the museum, they're in banks, they're in embassies, they're everywhere.
What's the environmental angle to recycling glass, what you are doing?
Well, what do you think? Everybody out there, you audience, what do you think? If we take all this glass away from lying on the fields and burning and doing all sorts of, but we're doing something useful out of it, of course that's a wonderful thing to do.
We take a short break. When we return, we will be joining a group of youths in Mathare who are turning human waste into biogas. I will also be joining them for a cup of tea brewed on a biogas cooker. Stay with us.